Yo guys, welcome back to another Five Nights Tower Events video, and today I have made a tier list so I can rank every character in the game right now as of the military update. So right now there is a total of 61 characters, and I have two tier lists basically ready for this. One where I'm going to be ranking all of the characters live right here, and another one where the format is going to be a little different, where it's going to be divided into sections that is kind of a bit more fair to rankings, because this one right here, like, it's straight up just everyone being compared to everyone else. But there's obviously like different tiers of characters, like starter characters, AoE, DPS, where it can be a little hard to rank them. But I've decided that I'm gonna do it anyways, and you guys may or may not agree, but obviously my opinion is factual. um, so let's just get started with this. I also have the unit stats here pulled up, so you guys know what the character does. So let's just speed run through this. We'll start off with obviously Uncommon Freddy, and I think he will go in C tier. And I think he's actually going to stay at top of C tier because he's not like good or bad. Like, he's good for like basically all of FNAF 1, but after that he's very bad, including endless of FNAF, like FNAF 1 endless 1 or whatever. By the way, this is comparing everyone's like value in like what they do for how much they cost, and basically the meta of the game. And in my opinion, the meta is being good as a starter. That's a thing that you should be good at if you're not good at other things. Having AoE is very meta for sure. So in my opinion, AoE characters have an advantage most of the time. Obviously, there's going to be really low ranking AoE characters. And basically, that's it. Like, AoE and starters, those guys are meta because most of the game you're fighting swarms of characters, and you don't really need DPS that much. You only really need the DPS for the endless game mode, specifically like FNAF 1, so you can beat it as fast as possible and get those exclusive presents. Um, but otherwise, like, usually AoE characters are always just gonna be better. So anyways, we're gonna go to the next character, and I think this Chica belongs in the worst tier. Even for beginners, I don't really know if this Chica is gonna perform that well for everyone. I don't think they don't really need to change this character. I can probably put them at D. It's been a long time since I've actually used that Chica, obviously. But yeah, they could be at D. But I don't know. Because you basically do like start off with like those two. So you're probably always gonna use that Chica anyways. Anyways, moving on. Toy Freddy. I think he will go at D tier. Because he's not complete garbage, but he's not that good at all. Foxy uh goes above Toy Freddy. Just by a little bit, I would say. They're both not that good. Foxy has more placements and ends up having more DPS, so that's why I think he's better. Even though his range is very bad, but his cost is also lower. Freddy, by the way, while he's like all the way up here in like C tier, I feel like that could be pretty high for him since he's an uncommon. I also don't think they need to like buff either of them or nerf them, but because like there's like basically two stages or something where he's like the only actual like usable character, since the price tag is like at 300, and there's like another really good 300 characters, so that's not a complete factor. Oh, also, characters that can be used good, like that are good in like all aspects, like AoE, damage, and basically starters, or just can be used really early, or basically cost effective. Those guys are going to be ranked higher, and yeah, just being able to use them in like any stage, every event and whatnot, that gives them a slight advantage as well. That's how I'll be ranking them. I guess I could have added that to the beginning, but it's fine. Anyways, we'll move on to this Wither Chica. I think she is like right between them. She's very bad only because you only place two of her. Other than that, well, like she is like a bad unit, but like compared to them, she could be better. But since there's only two placements, she's like right, in between them. I think she has like barely a bit more DPS than Toy Freddy, so that's why she's there. And same price tag, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, it probably is gonna end up costing less as well, since you only have to max out two of them, but you have to max out three of them. You guys aren't really here for that anyway, this conversation anyway, so I'll just move on. Toy Bonnie, probably also at C. He's alright. Beginners can use him, like the C tier says. And yeah, moving on. Withered Foxy, just a better version of Toy Bonnie. I don't think anyone's between them, so yeah. And then this Balloon Boy, honestly, goes in like D tier. If I would wait, actually, wait. Yeah, D tier. Probably below this Toy Freddy. I don't know. It's because, I gotta like scroll so you guys can see their stats. I was literally going off of memory. Oh, where is he? There he is. I guess because they updated him. I could go from this unit's like stats or from here, but I'm probably just gonna go from here. Probably. We'll see if I change it up. But like, look at his like DPS and like his cost. Even though he's an explosion character, I feel like these characters might be like more effective. I can honestly like put him above them, but like he is, in my opinion, besides this Chica, the worst explosion character because he's just his DPS is just like very little, and yeah, that's basically it. Moving on. Uh Honestly, I will go in order for this with this unit list because I'm not finding the characters. Like I have to scroll a lot in this. We're gonna get Golden Freddy. He is also really bad. I think I'm also gonna have him here. Um, I'm actually kind of thinking about it right now. I don't know. It's cause like after like FNAF 1, I think these characters are just gonna be completely useless, but then these characters kind of can be used, but I think they're also gonna be like practically useless as well. We'll just move on. I don't think people really care about these guys' rankings, but I guess it probably is a little crazy that mythics are below rares, but whatever. They're just like the worst mythics, like for sure. Withered Freddy. He is right here. I think he's like our first B tier. So he's like mid tier basically. Um yeah, he's like solid. He was like really good on release when we first had him. Just like a better Bonnie, which is our next character. By the way, some of the info here is incorrect. You can like see like the price tags are like different, but it is whatever. Anyways, Bonnie, he's just a worse version because he costs more and does less damage. He has more range, but that is not enough to suffice for that. I'm gonna go into more interesting conversations about stuff like that in the future. Next up, Rockstar Bunny. Everyone knows he is not good at all, but I think he goes to D tier, obviously. But I think he is better than these characters. Because he at least AoEs. And I think he will have, like, his DPS is, like, one of the worst. But he has better DPS than, for sure, this Chica, which is why she's all the way in this tier. Like, imagine being worse than Rockstar Bonnie. That's crazy. Um, and also some other character that we will see in the future. Uh, but yeah, like I can see him going lower. I can see those mythics being higher, but I don't think anyone really cares. Anyways, Shadow Freddy, I think probably B tier. I would say so. He's just another mid character. He used to be like really good at the start of the game when he first released. But yeah, better characters released. He's just like mid. Everyone like mid and above are just for sure like usable. And like that's kind of like what why there's like those brackets describing it. Anyways, moving on. Withered Bonnie. So, I think Withered Bonnie is actually going to be our first A tier. So, Withered Bonnie was probably like top 10 at least on first release, but I'm going to tell you right now there is for sure a good amount of characters better than him right now. So yeah, there's for sure characters getting power crept. Withered Bonnie is one of them, and a big reason is because of his price. While he is still one of the like most damaging characters, he's here at number 6. Because his cost is so high, I don't think he is going to be like top 6 as he would be in like the DPS chart. So yeah, that's his major flaw. Otherwise, he is very good. Moving on to Plain Boy, which I believe is also an A tier. There's gonna be a good amount of characters like between them. But yeah, Plain Boy in my opinion is just better because of the price tag, like I mentioned, and they are very close in power. Plain Boy being at number 10 in the DPS chart. Meanwhile, Withered Bonnie is number 6. I think the like maxing out, being able to max out the Plain Boys like 10 times sooner than Withered Bonnie just gives him more value. If we were like ranking just on DPS, obviously Withered Bonnie would be better, but that's like what this is for. By the way, if you guys want to know how to get this DPS chart, it's on the Discord. I'll probably link that in the description. But yeah, moving on to Secret Mangle. I think Secret Mangle, where is she? Wow, I must be blind. There you are. Is in C tier. Beginners can still use them, probably like right here below Freddy. Um, they're just a little like too expensive for what they are. Honestly, I could see them even lower, like using the same mm, like using the same argument as these guys are. But I do think Secret Mangle will have more value than these characters in like say FNAF 2 or something. I think these characters can be used in FNAF 2 for sure though, so I can see Mangle being lower, but I'll just keep them there for now. Doesn't really matter. Explosion, like I think Secret Mangle does. Yeah, Secret Mangle maxed out does do more DPS than them. I'm pretty sure. But even if they don't, they have the explosion mechanic. That's pretty good. But yeah, it doesn't really matter. Endo. Endo is a must-have S tier. I'll give you my reasons why, but basically, like, having these damage boosters makes your characters so much better to the point, like, if you have, like, a really good character or whatever, to the point where, like, having another character won't suffice. Like, say, for example, I have 3 of the best characters in the game. I would rather have the booster than running like Withered Bonnie. So then those characters are twice as good, and their DPS would basically like account for having a Withered Bonnie or something, you know? So yeah, and this is so everyone, I'm thinking of their baseline. and maxed out, like they're all gonna be the same. But in terms of Endo and another character that we'll be looking at in the future, I am thinking of them up just at their max. If we're thinking about them, or specifically shiny, if we're thinking about them without shiny, Endo would go like here. Like their boost is not enough to make your characters look good and like replace them instead of like Withered Bonnie. Like I would rather have Withered Bonnie than a normal Endo. But getting a shiny Endo is not too hard. So yeah, I do think shiny Endo's up here. Normal Endo would be like down in tier, down to D tier or something. Yeah, I don't think they would be complete garbage. They are gonna be like pretty low there though, because the boost is just not that good. Anyways, moving on. Pirate Withered Foxy. Now, if we're talking about power creep, Pirate Withered Foxy is one of those characters, but they're still gonna be in B plus tier. Um, I mean, yeah, there's not really much to talk about right now. I do think his value is just less than like these three characters, but more than all of these characters. That's about all there is to say. But yeah, moving on. I already have Balloon Boy. You can see his stats there. Next is Baker Toy Chica, which will go in D tier, honestly. Probably above the Rockin' Bonnie. They have the explosions and the like explosion effect, and that's about it. Their DPS is just not that good. Um, but yeah, not really much to talk about these D tiers other than to say like they're just not that good. They're like bottom of the barrel characters, but true bottom of the barrel characters are like F tier. So we'll move on to whoever else. We'll see who else is there in the future. Anyways, next up, Blighted and No Freddy. In my opinion, B tier. Top of B tier though. Actually, nah, like B plus. Because he's not complete garbage. I think he might actually just be above Pyro Wither Foxy. But like there's a very like better counterpart to him we'll see in the future. There's so many more like AoE characters that we're gonna see. So he's just power crept. Even on release though, he was not too great. Like he does have the mechanic of AoE, but he starts off like doing so little damage it doesn't truly matter. But he is like better AoEs than anyone below him though. So he's okay, but especially for like how expensive he is for trading, like he is just like a cosmetic. But we're not including stuff like that. We're just thinking of their overall value in game. Anyways, next up, Endo O2. Obviously going to be a very good character. As in terms of how good they are, I think they will be S. Probably more valuable than getting a booster, in my opinion. At least I think so. I don't know. Would I rather have a good starter or a good booster? I mean, good starters, yeah. I would at least rather have starters, but boosters, they're really important. I don't know. I could literally have boosters at like top 3 because of how good they are, but like I'm just gonna keep them at bottom of S, the boosters, because they are must-haves, but it's kind of hard to say that they're better than other characters. So we'll just keep the boosters at the bottom tier, or a bottom of S. Anyways, moving on. The Puppeteer. EZS tier. There they are. I'll put them at top. But yeah, their value, they are story mode destroyers. Reason why? So cheap, does AoE, decent DPS. There is better AoEs we will see in the future, but they are one of the best AoEs because of their price and their damage. But yeah, we'll talk more about that later. Next up will be Rad Freddy. He is a very good starter. I'll put him at great. Probably above Withered Bonnie, but not above Plain Boy. I think that will be fair. But yeah, he is a very underrated starter in my opinion. I do think Endo Utu is better usually, but Rad Freddy, like, I could move him up, honestly, because he's underrated. Like, the range, like, his DPS may not be that good, but since he has the range to compensate for it, this is an instance where the range actually does compensate for it. But yeah, he's on the higher tiers of starters, though, for sure. Moving on, we have Summer Toy Bonnie. Now, this was the character I was talking about, who actually does have like lower DPS than the Bonnie, the Rockin' Bonnie. That is, I think that they're they're kind of weird because their slow mechanic can actually like put them like here or something. But I don't think the slow mechanic is that meta, especially for a character like this, where basically all they are is just a slowing character. The DPS is just not that good. I'll be keeping them here on D tier, cause until like slowing actually, I will post this after my nightmare runs, but he actually was very crucial for one of my runs because of the slowing ability. But that's only one like stage. Like once there is more stuff where slowing is more relevant, he is probably gonna be like above all of these garbage characters and he will have a use. But honestly, like I might just put him up here anyways, just cause like I know he will age better than everyone else here, so I'm probably just here. Yeah, making up my mind right now. Uh, still has. Now I'm putting here because I don't really want to tell beginners to use him, but like for niche situations, like yeah, he has a use for the slowness. Anyways, moving on. Hawaii Endo O2. Now I will put him in like probably bottom of B. His support does help, makes your characters look really good, especially as a shiny one. Without shiny, they would also be practically useless, even below this Endo booster, I'm pretty sure. But the shiny Hawaii Endo, like, their range goes insane and will help out characters who don't have a lot of range, like this Puppeteer. The range is going to be insane and their value goes up by a lot. But it doesn't help out as much as Damage Booster, in my opinion. So probably B. They could be higher, but they do seem more gimmicky. Like having one booster is already enough. Having two of them, like at that point, you do have like too much boosters and you're only running like 3 characters. One of them is going to be like a starter, and at least one of them is going to be like your really strong character, and the third one would depend on the stage. But yeah, running 2 of them takes up too much. And I do think the damage one is superior. So if you are going to only use one booster, then like the damage boosters are just going to be way above the range booster. If we're gonna get a speed booster, they're gonna be up here for sure, next to damage boosters, because it's just gonna do the same thing, increase the DPS of your character. But yeah, we'll see if that even happens. Next up will be Coco Boy. Coco Boy, I believe it probably is just gonna be a mid character. He's not that good. I think I will keep the boosters at the bottom, but he's not that good. He's okay though, at least as a explosion character. He's way better than this Balloon Boy, but still, like, the design is not that great. Yeah, he has like more range, more damage. That's why he's a lot better. So it's a lot more viable. I could put him lower, but I'll just keep him there. Doesn't truly matter. I think he's a lot closer to Bonnie than like this Balloon Boy. That's what I'll say, I guess. Vendor Toy Chica is honestly not too bad, but honestly not that good really at all. Um, I'll be honest. I think they're just slightly, not slightly, but they're just better than Cocoa Boy because of their price. Like straight up, you will see right here that their DPS is like actually similar and their range. And Vendor Toy Chica is just 6 times cheaper. So don't you guys think that Vendor Toy Chica would just be better than Cocoa Boy then? Like if Cocoa Boy is here, then Vendor Chica is there. If Cocoa Boy is there, Vendor Chica would be in front of him. You know. I'm just basically comparing those two to each other, and Vendor Toy Chica just seems more valuable. Either way, they're both pretty bad. Not going to lie. Next is Algae Fredbear. Um, there's like 3 of these types of characters, and I think he is the worst one going into B tier. Um, we can just compare his stats. Like his stats compared to another one that's gonna be right above him, not like a tier above him. It like has a little bit weaker stats, but you can only place 3 of these Algae Fredbears. That's a huge factor into what makes this archetype of character really good. The fact that you can place 4 of them, and we're actually gonna go up to one of them very soon. But first, we have to talk about bottom 2 character Puppet. My goodness, this character is garbage. I'll have to admit. Just look at their stats. So, even on release, like, not a good character at all. And as time goes on, there's just like, why does this character exist? The other endless characters actually have a use. This one, though, none at all. If you actually calculate their DPS, like, an initial placement, their DPS is literally 50 damage per second. And then right here, I don't actually remember, but it's literally around like 200. I believe, which is crazy. Cause guess what? Like we're gonna see characters that cost like $800 and is gonna have like better DPS than him. Like, what's the point of this character? This character is like so expensive and does stuff that like $800 characters will do. And what's the benefit to the puppet? I guess he has a lot of range. There's characters who have more range than him now. I guess he pierces. What's the point of the pierce when you're shooting every 7 seconds? Like at that point, all of those characters are just gonna be at the exit. Very, very bad character. There's only one character worse than him, and you guys will see who. But yeah, Chica, Puppet, and someone else, bottom 3. Now, anyways, moving on. Withered Gold Freddy, just a way better version of Algae Freddy. I think he is up here in S tier, probably above all these characters. Oh wait, I was looking at something else. Sorry. Nah, not above Puppet for sure. Not Puppet's value because of the AOE and the price. Like, yeah, I like them more. But literally, like up here, where are they ranked? Number 5. I mean, there's like 3 characters who have the same DPS, but which is Leviathan, Withered Bonnie, and Withered Golden Freddy. But his price, like compared to Withered Bonnie, you can place 4 of this guy and then 3 of this guy. But you're gonna max out this guy like 10 times sooner than this guy, and they have the same DPS. Like, okay, sure. And his range is like not all of that, but it's worth it. He just goes a tier above since you like you wanna like place down and max out these characters like ASAP, especially for like DPS characters, which will show a lot that I value in later characters. But yeah, he goes up here in S. He's like a must-have. Not, I think him specifically isn't a must-have, but his archetype of characters is sort of a must-have. It's just once you use like his archetype of character, you guys will realize not really Augie Freddy, since he's not that good. But yeah, he's like similar to that performance. Anyways, also we can go ahead and quickly compare the stats. Like, where even is Augie Freddy? Like, you can see that the stats don't even compare. Like, not only does he do more damage at the start, I'm also scrolling too much. Wow. But he does more damage at the end. And like faster attack speed, more damage. Yeah. Anyways, um moving on, like actually, we have Seven Seas Foxy. I think he's at the top of mid. He kind of describes a mid character. Like, he is pretty cheap. He has a lot of range. He does the piercing. By the way, I think this is one of the few characters who is like has a wrong description, like screenshot of what they do, because I'm pretty sure. Well, actually, I think they reposted it like all the way at the bottom. They didn't delete that one. Yeah, he does 50 less damage. They nerfed him for some reason. Whatever. Okay, sure. That's besides the point. That's his like actual stats though. But yeah, he just doesn't do that much damage. So that's why he's not that good. But at least he does have the range and the pierce. So, and then the cost. So he does at least go to B tier. If he was like expensive and probably just expensive and had less range, yeah, he would go like even lower. It probably would be like this mango or something. Anyways, so we have we are here at a character that everyone knows and glazes, and I am one of those guys. He is top 3. So really quick, I forgot to mention this too. Top 3, I only think top 1 like genuinely is top 1, but 2 and 3, like I think they can go lower, but they're probably overall top 10 anyways. But I wanted to include a starter, a DPS unit, and who I actually think is straight up just top 1. But yeah, starter, DPS. Oh no, AoE. Yeah, who I think is number 1 is also AoE. You guys will see who. But yeah, AoE, DPS, and starter. And this is our starter for top 3. Patriot Freddy. He is the best starter, still, in my opinion. He can literally be used in absolutely any level. Maybe some like levels him being the starter, like at least solo starter, isn't enough since his DPS doesn't kill them. But usually if that's the case, you're gonna need multiple starters anyways, and he is one of the starters because he is the best AoE starter. That's like, there's not really much else to say. Yeah, he does a lot for being $300. Like, he is the definition of good value. That's all I can really say. Anyways, moving on. Phantom Puppet. A very underrated character in my opinion, and he's at top of A. Great. But still, underrated character. Same with Rad Freddy, underrated. But I think that's where they belong though, in A. Reason why I think he's underrated. He is one of the best damaging dealing characters here at number 11. And they also do pierce. And in this case, unlike like this endless puppet, Since they're doing good damage, their Pierce is actually good, and also I guess I kind of forgot to mention this, but they're the only two Pierce characters who kind of have like an endless Pierce mechanic, because they throw I'm pretty sure the endless puppet doesn't do this, but even if he did, he's still garbage. I don't care. Um, but their Pierce goes on like technically forever because it goes out of the map, but it does despawn. But that's technically makes them have endless range. That also does make the Seven Seas Foxy value even less. Like even though he has a lot of range, he technically has infinite range because of this mechanic. Their piercing projectile just goes infinitely, and this puppet actually does good damage, unlike the Seven Seas Foxy. So yeah, I think they actually are at this point better than Plain Boy. There's better DPS characters than Plain Boy, but there is no like better Pierce character than this puppet. I'm just gonna say it right now. I That's what I think. Oh, actually, no, sorry about that. Like no Pierce projectile character. Yeah, like, and there is only two of them, but yeah, that mechanic is actually pretty good since it's like kind of endless range. But yeah, it doesn't really matter. Anyways, moving on. War Machine Foxy, obviously very good. There he is. I'm gonna put him at probably below this puppet. Kind of hard to say. He could probably just be above, and I don't really want him to say he's a must-have. Uh, but he probably could just be higher. But his main use is that he is technically like the highest DPS starter. Like there is stages where like the max money you get is like 5k, and placing one of him is like the highest DPS you will get. I am pretty sure because his DPS on initial placement is 600 DPS, and that is pretty hard to beat. Like you're gonna need 10 of these Endo O2s, like just on initial placement to even match that DPS, but obviously you can only place 4 of them down. So that's like, that obviously shows how good that is. Honestly, just upon saying that, I do want to move him up. I probably will just move him up, but just know that he isn't really like a must-have character. He's just really good. I'll probably just leave him there though, just above Endo. We'll see. Honestly, if there is a character that is hard for me to rank, is characters that I haven't even used, and he's obviously one of them. Those characters. He's very good, but he's not the best. That's all I'll say. And he for sure can be power crept. Like, there's characters who have a higher ceiling, obviously. There's characters who have like similar price and whatnot. I think this guy for sure is better, I would say. Oops. Uh oh my gosh. I'm so lost. Alright. Wither going Freddy. Yeah, he does 1k more like DPS with all 4 of them. So he's better, I would say, overall. But the War Machine Foxy has something that no one else really does. I'm pretty sure his DPS, like just placing him down, is way less. Yeah, that's gonna be like 150 or something. Yeah. Anyways, moving on. Enough talking about him. We got Witch Toy Chica, who is, in my opinion, another really good starter. She basically like does what Patriot Freddy does, but you can only place 3 of her down, and she costs a bit more, so a little less value. But she does have more DPS. I think, I don't know. It depends on how much the poison actually does, but I don't even know how much it does. I don't know if anyone does. But whatever, they're really good either way. Next up, Bounded Shadow. I think they are just a great character. They're right below Plain Boy, maybe. Let me look at his DPS actually. So he is Bounded Shadows right here, but then Plain Boy's DPS is up here. He does a lot less damage, but then meanwhile, like Phantom Puppet is actually like comparable to Plain Boy. Yeah. So in that case, he could be higher, but Phantom Puppet is like what like actually higher, you know? Because Phantom Puppet has like the rest of like what Bounded Shadow needs. Like he needs to be closer in DPS, and he needs to have good range. Well, he doesn't really have good range. Like I said, that projectile thing's technically infinite range, and of course they pierce, so it's like in AoE. By the way, I just want to say that projectile has like a huge hitbox, so it is not going to be like inconsistent. So yeah, I do think he's just better than Plain Boy, and Bounded Shadow is like slightly worse than Plain Boy. I'll give you guys that. Anyways, Phantom Mangle. Honestly, probably should have been better. If I'm gonna place him anywhere, they're probably gonna be at great. Probably above, yeah, just Plain Boy, but below Phantom Puppet. I think, hmm, I think Phantom Puppet. Now that one's a little like a bit harder to convince. Oops, there you go. Since he is one of the best DPS units, but his cost, well, it is on the lower side for the DPS units, like, or at least medium side. I just think Phantom Puppet is just more meta. He can also be used in Endless. His DPS is not that much lower. I mean, it's by like almost 1,000. It's like 800. But I don't know. That could be a controversial one. I just think what Phantom Puppet does, like him being cheaper overall and having the Pierce, I think he is slightly better. But I can see him below him. So yeah, these guys are like, these two at least are like at the top of 8 though. I will say right now. Anyways, moving on, we have Sentinel Bonnie. Now, Sentinel Bonnie is just a way worse version of War Machine Foxy. That's basically it. And usually if you have a better counterpart, you go down in tiers by a lot. I think maybe B+, probably like at the top of B+, honestly. But yeah, these two, I mean, like, they're just both not that good. They both also have superior counterparts, so I think I'll just have him above Freddy. I feel like if I really think about it too much right now, this video would just be way too long. But yeah, they're on the same tier. What really matters is like the tiers, I would say, except for like when a character's at the bottom of the tier, they could be moved now. If they're at the bottom of at the top of a tier, they could be moved up, you know? So yeah. But yeah, it's really hard to compare characters by each other. The next tier list that I'll be showing will be like way more satisfying for people, I would assume. Anyways, next up, Phantom Chica, not very good. I think they are the best, well, not the best, second best secret, summonable secret, sorry. Shadow Freddy, in my opinion, is still the best one, just because of the mechanic. But I think this Phantom Chica does end up doing more DPS. And this is also another thing where it's inaccurate, because their new stats is like 650 55, 65, I think, something like that per second instead of 500 per 0.75 seconds, which is actually a nerf. And then like the startup is like the initial one is like 200 per 1.70 seconds, something like that. But yeah, they don't really seem to update these minor changes, but it's whatever. She is a bit worse, and she is a better version of this Phantom Mingle, though. Um, I don't know. I'm like thinking about it right now. She actually could be better than Shadow Freddy. I have to compare their DPS. Let me just do that real quick. So his DPS would be like around 318 range. It's like a good bit above 300 DPS. And then like I said, Phantom Chica is like above 600. She has like around the same range. I think it is unfair that she's like a whole tier below. So I'll just have her probably just above. I think this Phantom Freddy could be. Hmm. She doesn't seem like too bad. So yeah, I guess not only beginners can just use her. I do think Phantom Mangle is a lot worse though. So I think they're fine here. Yeah, this Shadow Freddy does do more DPS. So yeah, I think I'll keep it like this. I for some reason I thought these two were more comparable, but it seems more like these guys are comparable. Cause this Phantom Chica just does way more DPS, like a little over double. And then this guy does, obviously more as well. You can only place two of each of them, but yeah, either way, they're like not that very good. But yeah, I do find their value a bit better than this Algae Freddy, so I'll just keep it like this. Yeah, overall. Anyways, a lot of yapping. Moving on though, Phantom Cupcake. Now, I think he is better than Pirate Withered Foxy, and probably this Endo Freddy. I think, I don't know. Yeah, I kind of like only like think about like how hard it is to even trade for Endo Freddy, and it makes him even worse in my opinion because he's just not worth the 8,000 like price tag. But I mean, like if we're not considering that, then this Phantom Cupcake is probably worse, I guess. By the way, this Phantom Cupcake costs like 800. So yeah, that is relevant. That's a thing. Next up is the Fazcade. Fazcade is kind of a gimmick, except for like co-op runs. That's when the money actually does matter, since the money distribution is actually worse, since it's whoever actually like does damage and collects the money. I think they're like on this tier of supports. They're obviously like a supporting type of character, since they don't actually help you out with beating the characters, they help you out with beating the game in general. So yeah, they're on the same tier as this Hawaii Endo. They're both kind of gimmicky. You really don't like need this character in solo runs, and their only real use is like with co-op runs. So with co-op runs, like they could just be like up here. But yeah, otherwise, yeah. And then also even like they don't need to be shiny as well. So like while these boosters are probably just gonna be like down here and whatnot, this guy is still gonna be here, so that's already like a plus side on Fazcade. Yeah, anyways, moving on. Endo 03. I think they kind of fumble over this guy, but he's like okay. He's probably like better than Vendor Toy Chica. Not like the epics from the clan gifts are ever that good, since this Baker Toy Chica wasn't that good either. Um, yeah, I mean, I guess I didn't really fumble if he did end up being better than Baker Chica, but he probably will get power crept anyways in the future and go like even lower. But for now, he's like right there, probably, because his He's just too expensive, but his DPS is not that bad. So he is kind of a bit up there. I can actually honestly probably put Vendor above him. It doesn't really matter. But yeah, Vendor Chica, she's still bad, but at least she's cheap and does AoE. So that's a use. Whatever though. Moving on. A very surprising one. This is a B plus character that is going above Phantom Cupcake. People don't really like Phantom Cupcake either way anyways, but they're they're like the same character. They both cost 800. You can place four of each of them. Now, there is one thing about them. Like, I can honestly probably just put you below, honestly. And that one thing is that Phantom Cupcake actually has more DPS on initial placement. But the Phantom Foxy, I'm pretty sure, either does the same DPS fully maxed out or a bit above. Yeah, I'm gonna have Phantom Cookie above actually because they also have more range. But he is very like surprisingly close. Like there's no reason for this rare gift character to be like basically just as good as the pass free pass character. Like the free pass character from last season was up here, and then like the rare gift character from last season is all the way down here. So either way, like basically they cooked with this guy. I guess the only reason why I was gonna put him above is because like how surprisingly good he is for what he is. But like in actuality, his performance is like here, and yes, his performance actually is better than Pirate Withered Foxy. It does cost 300 more, but overall he will have more value. And yeah, Pirate Withered Foxy got power cramped. It's kind of crazy, but yeah, that happened. Um, but yeah, anyways, moving on. Sniper Cupcake. Where is she at? Or where they are? Yeah. Uh, Probably like here, I would say. Like, they're just a way worse version of Rad. I think these range characters for sure do have value. Because their DPS is like, in a way, deceiving, because their humongous range actually just gives them more overall shots. So that's for sure valuable. And Cyber Cupcake does have more range on initial placement, but they both cap at the same amount of range, that being 45 range. But she just does way less damage, so I'm just gonna put them right there. Uh, yeah, their DPS is just too low. Beginners can obviously still use them though. That's why they're there. So, Shadow Bonnie. Very, very good character, but they are not top three in my opinion. Very surprising. They can be top three for sure, but for this list, like I've said, I wanted to have a DPS, a AoE, and a starter. And now at this point, you might be able to guess who the best character is. But yeah, I think Shadow Bonnie is contender for top three. Well, I don't think they're for sure top one. So yeah, there is a better AoE type character, and you guys will see in a moment. I will explain the reasons why once we get to that character. So next up, Phantom Cold Freddy. He is the third archetype of this character. Oh, this is the wrong character. Basically it's just these Golden Freddy characters, even though this one looks more like a normal Freddy, but it doesn't matter. I think they're probably at great tier. Probably, honestly, like more valuable than Withered Bonnie because of like the same argument. He his DPS is a bit lower by 800, quite substantial, but so much cheaper. I'm just gonna have him above the Withered Bonnie. if you guys use this type of character, you would know why. But yeah, this guy is obviously for sure better. That's why he's a tier above. But then this guy, like, I only have him like one placement above him, so it's like you guys see even like my hesitation that he's better. Anyways, so yep, that's the worst character in my opinion. It's just not only is slowing not like a meta thing, but they cost 200 or 2,000 to place. Like Summer Toy Bonnie, I was telling about like, yes, like slowness can actually be viable and could be in the future, even if it's not meta right now. But he cost 800. That's actually like easy to place down. Like, sure, I'll place down this slow character when I need him. It's only gonna be costing 800, but 2,000, like the starting, the most you get for a starting hand is like what your cost is 5,000. You're gonna spend like almost half of that on a slowing character. Like all they do is slow and nothing else. And even like their range isn't that impressive either. Like maybe if they had infinite range, then like sure, that'd actually be crazy. It's just yeah, no damage, a useless ability, and this character not only does the same thing, but they don't need to be continuously slowing. So for them to actually be slowed down a lot, but they at least do like some damage, even if it's not a lot at all. And they cost way less, so it's actually viable to use that. Anyways, moving on. Yeah, it's just crazy. Like you're wasting 2,000. Like, at least this puppet actually technically does something. You are still wasting like 10,000 instead of 2,000, but you're genuinely wasting like 2,000, so whatever. Um, and yeah, I'm gonna say it right now, I've never found a use in using that amalgam. So yeah, not like neither of these three. Like, actually, like this Chica, you technically can use him for something, which is basically a beginner who has no other characters to use. But they're not gonna have these characters usually, and if they have amalgam like as their only option, then I would tell them to just not even use them anyways, because it actually would just be bad for them to use. Yeah. Anyways, sheesh. I just really don't like that character. Phantom Balloon Boy. He is for sure the best of these Balloon Boy archetypes, and obviously that archetype is like the worst of these AoEs. I'm just gonna put them at mid, like right below 7Cs. 7Cs does, I think, either more DPS overall or similar DPS, but he does, you can place three of both of them as well, but yeah, he has like more range and costs less. So in this situation, yeah, I do think 7C is actually a superior character, not by a lot. They're actually somewhat similar, but yeah, they're even more similar because they're also both 0.25% secrets in their respective gifts. But yeah, I do think he ends up being better. Anyways, moving on. Phantom Freddy. I think he actually is a pretty good endless unit, unlike the puppet, and Endo is also pretty good. I think I'm gonna put him like at bottom of B plus though. He does cost a little too much, but he is a good alternative to have as a like cheap DPS character. Um so yeah, he's not that bad. He's not that great, and that's perfectly fine for an endless character. It's not even the easiest to get him either, but it's not the hardest either. So whatever. Moving on. Guess who it is? Leviathan Mangle was buffed like twice, and yes, they are the best character in the game right now, in my opinion. I can go on and on. I've literally said this in like previous videos too, but like, so first, their cost, they cost like nothing in the grand scheme of things. Like, when we're talking about like these higher cost characters, they're on the cheaper end. And while I do like complain about the cost for the puppet, you're paying that much for like a starter, like who would cost like 50, 500, or 200, whatever, I don't care. Definitely more than 200 since lowest is 300. Anyways. But their cost is huge. You can use them way sooner than like Shadow Bonnie. Shadow Bonnie is like who we can literally directly compare each other. But first of all, he does more DPS than Shadow Bonnie overall. His DPS is not that far off from the highest DPS characters, and he does piercing. Piercing is not the best like AoE mechanic, but it's better than nothing to have. It's like the reason why I have this Phantom Puppet so high, since their damage is like comparable to like um to Plain Boy, but honestly, this makes me want to put it in lower than Phantom Mangle. But anyways, that's besides the point. But the piercing mechanic, like yeah, it's just cheaper than all of these like DPS characters. Most of them. We'll get to that later. Um, just piercing and one of the best DPS, like, and on the cheaper side, like, yeah, we'll compare the prices of everyone here. The only one who is like as cheap or cheaper is this Withered Golden Freddy. And yeah, you guys will hopefully realize that I'm trying to spit something here. The only like thing is like their range, but like whatever. Like the other contender I was gonna have was Shadow Bonnie, and they have the same range. And I think Leviathan is just better because of the DPS, basically. Even if the mechanic of AoE is superior, um, you kind of don't need it. And I've like shown it in my videos of the Nightmare runs, like of FNAF 3. Like it's literally the hardest stages in the game, and Leviathan like carries the DPS against the whole swarms of characters that literally have like 100,000 HP, and against the boss who has like 500,000 HP. And they can only do that because they're piercing against like the swarms of 100,000. And then against the boss, it's because their DPS is actually up there. And you just don't need the max DPS that Phantom Mangle and Abyssal Foxy has. They're probably gonna end up aging better than Leviathan once, like, if that does become meta, doing a lot of damage against bosses or something. But for now, Leviathan is just better. Yeah, so much talking, but I still gotta finish this. It's a pretty long video. I don't know how I'm gonna post this or whatever. But yeah, Spring Bonnie. Let's just try speedrunning this. So Spring Bonnie, literally like right here, a better support. If they weren't shiny, then they go down there. Shiny Endo is way easier to get. Shiny Endo is better than normal Spring Bonnie. That's all there is to say. Major Freddy, very bad release. We're not here in the military update. Military update didn't change too much in like characters that aren't military characters, and they're like their placements. I'm basically just like adding them to the tier list. But yeah, he is not that good. He's a way worse version of Endo 2. You can like compare their stats, and he does like way less damage. His DPS overall is not too bad, but his cost, like he costs 1,000. If they're gonna make him good, make him way cheaper. That's it. He would go up to like C or B or something. It depends on like how much cheaper they make him or how much, more damage they do. He does. Next up, Mercenary Foxy. He is a good release. I very much like him. I think though he will go in probably B plus if I had to guess. Mm, would he be better than this Emma Freddy? I don't know. I think I will keep him like in the upper like area of B plus tier. But yeah, he's very good. He's like similar to like Sentinel and War Machine Foxy, but in the end, they're technically supposed to be like good DPS for like their initial placement. And Mercenary Foxy has a very bad start. Like his DPS is like 100 DPS, and then these guys are like 600, and his is like around 200 or something. Which, since his is around like 200, I do think he's like a lot lower than like these type of characters. But since his is at like 600, that's why he's like so above like a lot of these starters. But yeah, so he is up there. His like max potential is comparable to War Machine Foxy, but you do have to spend a lot more for that, and you have to like he has a way worse start. He like this is like a new archetype of continuous characters that they've been releasing, and they're not that bad, but they're obviously like they're gonna be like around mid and whatnot as shown with Mercenary Foxy. But yeah, overall he was good though. Uh Artillery Puppet. This is a surprising one because I think they're like A tier. And they're probably gonna be like it's kind of crazy, but I would say above Flame Boy. And it's kind of like a similar reason to like this guy. I think I won't do that though. The world's not ready for that. But like, why you may ask? So his price 1,500, not too bad. And then like look at that. They start off with 40 range. That's the most any character starts off with. And what they are is like a higher DPS Patriot Freddy with a good amount more price. Like Patriot Freddy is still a lot better because of the price, obviously, but also with a lot of range. Like they have this unique ability to start off with 40 range and also have explosion. Like this is insanely like meta. Like I'm being honest, it's crazy. Their DPS at the start is 500 for this price tag, but then it goes up to like I would have to guess around above 100 or something like that. Uh, so yeah, it is kind of hard to put him above Plain Boy, even like above this guy, but they have like similar roles, and I do think since you can place him way sooner, like he's very good. This is like the type of stuff where it's hard to rank these characters side by side because people are not going to believe this, but like I do feel like what he does is very valuable. Like he's kind of like a pseudo starter, like a more expensive starter, like the same way this guy is also a starter, but he does like AoE and then he does like DPS. While I am doing like this, like I didn't really use him for any nightmare runs, so I guess he could be like a lot lower, but I don't know. It's kind of hard to rank it. I might just put him like a below Rad though, cause he is also comparable to Rad. He does do like a good bit less damage, but he's also a good bit more expensive, and he also has explosion, and also starts off with that range. Like just saying all of that, like, do you guys believe he's that much worse than Rad, or Rad is that much better? Like, yeah, I guess if I like basically what I'm saying is if I have Rad that much lower, I would also have his artillery like puppet like right behind them as well. But like using my logic, like artillery puppet is up here with Rad. Anyways, moving on is another really surprising character. This Rocketeer Mangle. I saw some footage of him. I read his stats. Like literally one of the best explosions. Like the price tag and like the DPS they do. You can place 3 of them and whatnot. They are another explosion type of character that I want to put above Plain Boy, and I think they have like as much or more of an argument than this Phantom Puppet. So in this, so this list has characters wrong sometimes. If you can only place two of them, they are like way lower. But from a video I watched, they were able to place three of them down, and that was like a recent video. So I'm pretty sure that's the accurate, like video of it. But we'll go ahead and go to the Rocketeer Mangle, and you can see it says two of them have the max DPS of 1,000. So each of them does 500 DPS. But if there's a third one, they go up like to here, to like top 23 basically. So like above Bonnie. But like their Bonnie with AoE and is also cheaper than Bonnie. So like Withered Freddy price. So more comparable to Withered Freddy, honestly. Uh so like the more I think about it, I do think he might just be lower than Plain Boy. But that just seems so strong. Having an AoE that costs like 5k. So their DPS is like 100 at the initial placement. And so let's just like directly compare it to like Phantom Puppet. So 100 DPS initial placement for 5k price. I have to actually compare it to here. So remember that. And then Phantom Puppet. So their DPS is like the DPS is like 250. So on an initial placement, and you can, so that's the price for a 10,000 or 1,500. And so if that's the case, then this Rocketeer Mangle will do like more 50 DPS more. Now I do think Phantom Mangle, or not Phantom Mangle, but Phantom Puppet has overall more value since they do still do more DPS and have like that infinite range. This Phantom, I'm not Phantom, just Mangle. What is Rocketeer Mangle? It's just obviously up there in my opinion because of like those comparisons. So yeah, like I guess is another thing. Like if I'm gonna have this guy lower, I'm definitely gonna have this guy lower as well. And if this guy only has two placements, then like they're not that good. Probably like here, I would say. But no, with three placements, they are like here. Placements obviously a very important thing, as you can tell. I do think they're at least better than this character. But Plain Boy, like I don't know. I might just seem like a Plain Boy hater, honestly. But I guess we will see. But yeah, moving on. Enforcer Bonnie. So they're like they have that same thing where they have a bad start. Their initial DPS is like 150, but then they rank up a lot, go up by a lot, and they should be a lot cheaper to max out and have like a bit lower DPS, I think, if not a good bit lower. Hold on, where are they? So Enforcer is, where is he? Oh, right here. 2,800. Yeah, look at that. Only like 200 less DPS and should cost way less to max out than three of these withered Bonnies who are so expensive to max out. So he's just a better version of him, honestly. Like the only thing that like withered Bonnie has over them is their initial placements, like is for sure better. But yeah, Enforcer good. Enforcer could probably go up, but as of now, they're there. I'll probably remake this tier list, like most likely the next update, and then I'll realize that some of these war characters could be a little too high placement, and then other ones could be too low. But we will see. And speaking of high and lows, Cupcake Tank for now is one of the another garbage characters. Their gimmick just does not work right now, basically. Like this is like another situation as this amalgam, but not as bad. You're spending 2,000 for like a gimmick that is not meta. So literally all they do is summon characters with these stats. And not only are these stats like they're not that good, but the summons are just not that frequent. And that actually just technically makes like their DPS and stuff way lower. So they're very inconsistent. They don't even attack themselves, and that's important for a future character. So they're just all the way down here for now because they just seem to have like absolutely no value. For some reason I feel like I skipped this character, this epic Toy Bonnie. I think they're literally like right below this Phantom Angle. Yeah. Well, we dealt with that for any like epic Toy Bonnie lovers out there, I guess. Moving on. Commando Endo. I think he could be a lot better. The summon mechanic seems like it's not that good. But yeah, they're not even like with the current summon mechanic, they're not too bad. They're like up here. They could probably just be mid, honestly. I could probably just put him here. Uh but yeah, his like stats overall, like he's doing what? 100 DPS maxed out and he plays two of them. Honestly, I'm like thinking of that right now, and that seems even worse. I could probably put him even lower. I don't think I want to put him lower than these guys because the summons, like I'm pretty sure they seem more consistent with him. If they are just as bad, then he could probably go even lower. But I think he can get buffed and be even better because the summons will actually be more viable. But yeah, he is a little harder rank. This cupcake tank technically harder rank, but the easy option is to say they're garbage because they kind of are. But yeah, next up is so you guys might thinking who's the best DPS character? It's Valkyrie Chica. Alright, now we gotta talk about this because people think Abyssal Foxy is the best character in the game. We'll go ahead and put his placement, which I think he is slightly below Shadow Bonnie. Yeah, so he did like I would say like everything is basically ordered, but I can change around things from tiers. But like top five, I can like move these guys around. Like I could probably just put Patreon probably still above Bissell, and then you like there, and then yeah, that would be like actual top five. But since I wanted like one of each like up here, then yeah. So I gotta like talk my way out of this, I guess. So Abyssal, his initial placement, is like you can literally compare the stats. He only has a little less range, but yeah, he costs 5k more for on the initial placement, and that's gonna be even more. Like you guys will see even more why that's important. But like Valkyrie Chica is the best. So there's like total DPS, which is what like this little like whole row is about, and that's important. But there's also solo DPS, which is also important, and I think that's like a big reason why Valkyrie Chica is like top 5 and like above Abyssal is cause they are literally number 3 in total DPS and is 100 times cheaper than Abyssal Foxy and like 10 times cheaper than Phantom Mingle. Because you only have to max out 2 of them, and the 2 that you have to max out cost like 10,000. Now, while I think doing AoE and piercing is more meta, which is why I would have both of them above as Valkyrie Chica. This is for sure like the DPS character that you would want that is actually viable for story mode and endless. So it's like saying all that, I would like see why they could be better than Leviathan, but like right now, like Valkyrie Chica would not be able to solo carry nightmare runs on FNAF 3 like Leviathan does. Like doing that like basically tells me why Leviathan is better. Um because yeah, her DPS is good. It's not like 10 times higher than this, and I can tell you for sure that this DPS is not enough to clear swarms of characters when this DPS, which is only 600 below, basically barely even finishes off the swarms of characters, which they are finishing off those swarms of characters because of the piercing. And then the piercing overall, like, that's not even going to be relevant for just nightmare mode, but like in any story mode in general, like they're gonna kill the swarms faster with the piercing, even with less DPS than this character who has higher DPS. Yeah, it's just not high enough to be better than AoE characters. That's when DPS characters would for sure be better than these AoE characters, is when their DPS is just literally 10 times higher. So yeah, it would be very viable for story mode. But anyways, yeah, that's why. So like, people will say Abyssal Foxy because they do have the highest DPS and they're also doing that slowing mechanic. While those things are very good, it's just not meta. And it's also way more expensive to achieve those highs. Like, what's like most practical, like it's gonna cost literally 45,000 to place just level 1 abyssal foxies. Meanwhile, with 45,000 you're already gonna have like 2 of these toy chicas at like level 3, and obviously those stats are gonna be better than what this is. But yeah, placing those level 1s, like your upgrade, the thing about this abyssal foxy which like balances him is that his upgrades are so expensive and they're very slow in progression. Like, you're upgrading him 5 levels just for 20 more damage, and you're basically doing it for the range. But yeah, like, what's good about him is his level 1 is already pretty strong, but making him to his max potential, which everyone loves him for and calls him the best for, you're gonna spend a fortune for, which is for sure possible in like endless mode, but in story modes, you're not gonna see that very often. Uh, so yeah, that is it for this video, this tier list. I think I might do a separate one for the other format, or I will just add it to this video. But yeah, I'm gonna end this recording here. That is it for this video. Hope you guys enjoy it, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.